Tommy Beer nails it at Forbes. He says the majority of Republicans believe in QAnon conspiracy theories, that they're either partly or mostly true, is what the survey is finding. So he's reporting this. This is his little article on the Forbes, assuming that it's a Forbes study. But this is from last night. It's interesting. You have seen numbers of media hit pieces, you could call them. I mean, I don't know what you want to call them, but they're news reports published by big name news outlets, all from a very high level condemning QAnon. They don't ever post about what the Q Intel group is. They don't talk about what the Q posts are. They don't ever link to them or show them in the context or tell you how to go look at them. They just tell you that QAnon is bad. And then they use really, kind of weird language like this. A disciple. Here at the bottom of the page, the disciple waiting in line. When have we ever heard of a QAnon person calling themselves a disciple of Q? And they've used biblical language like this in the past because they want people to see this who have never heard of Q and then go, that seems crazy. I think, yeah, that's weird. Okay. All right. Well, maybe when they asked Donald Trump, hey, Mr. President, I love that they have to call him that too, don't you? Mr. President Trump, sir, Mr. President, sir, people like QAnon said that you're like taking down like evil pedophiles and cannibals. Like, is that true? And he's like, well, I haven't heard all of that. What does that do to the human psyche when you hear, I haven't heard that? I haven't heard all of that. It makes you go, oh, yeah, I haven't heard all of that either. I should go look into that. Or if they have heard some of that, they go, yeah, I need to go look into that more. Whatever that is that triggers the, I have not heard that, that makes you go, I should go look into that. I need to do some research because he's saying, I don't know all about that. I haven't heard all of that. But what I do know is that they like me very much. I appreciate that. They know that they like the country. They don't like seeing, and then he goes, they don't like seeing all the Antifa and the violence and the this and the statues and the... Okay, so you get the point. Now you see Forbes is saying, hey, we have a study, some 56% of Republicans believe that QAnon is mostly or partly true, according to a new Daily Kos Civics poll. We're going to check that poll out. This is released Wednesday. Remarkably a high number of the many outlandish assertions espoused by QAnon supporters. So let's look at the Civics poll. Okay, pessimism and regret along with coronavirus. That's a nice one. School reopenings, belief in QAnon. Okay, cool. So let's see. What is this group? Do we know? Is interesting. Oh, not even 1,500 people. Hello? They asked not even 1,500 people in the United States about the seriousness of all these different things. Very interesting. You asked 1,368 individuals. Jeez. And so you're basing your numbers on this. 1 in 3 Republicans believe that QAnon's mostly true. Another 23% of Republicans say that some parts of it are true. Only 13% say that it's not at all true. That's the number we ought to be focusing on. Say that again. Only 13% of Republicans believe that it's not true at all. Rhinos, in fact. So in contrast, then it says, 72% of Democrats say it's not true at all. So take your 13% of Republicans and your 72%. You get about 85% of the country. No, that can't be right. No, it's 85%. Now I'm adding halves and wholes. That doesn't make any sense. What am I trying to say there? I'm adding up and then divided by 2. So it'd be half. Just under half of voters in total would not believe in any of the things that Q has posted. Which, to say anything that QAnon says is true, obviously that's wrong, because QAnon isn't a thing. It's not a person. QAnon is like a group. It's a movement. The QAnon, what has their posting kind of is weird, because If you say belief in QAnon, then what you're really saying is belief in, as they would tell you, doing your own research online into things that are being posted so that you'll go and look into them. So again, if you're only surveying, this is why I'm stumped, because I'm like, you're gonna say that most of one party's voting base and a small fraction of another, that together collectively makes up like what, 45 or 40% of total voters. So you're gonna tell me that number, that 42% of voters in total don't ever support Q and will never support Q, because why? Because you asked less than 1,500 people? And so then you say, okay, so the percentage of Republicans who believe that it's partially or mostly true went from 46% a year ago to 56% today. You asked the question last year, hey, how many Republicans believe in QAnon? And 46% said, yeah, I think most of it's probably true. What? When did we hear about that? We didn't hear about that last year. How did just under half the party last year not agree? Now, just over half do. And you think that that's an accurate number? If you only asked 1,300, please. We are going to see. We're going to see. That's all I want to say. So, this says, now that you have the context, 56% of Republicans believe that QAnon, a far-right conspiracy theory, is mostly or partly true, according to the poll that we just looked at. Remarkably a high number, considering the many outlandish assertions espoused by QAnon supporters. Oh, wait, hang on a second now. Can you like a movie? Can you like a director and like a movie, be a fan of a media, and then another fan of that media does something awful, now you have to not like the movie? If I am a big fan of the Batman franchise, but then there's a mass shooting at a Batman movie, do I have to now not like Batman movies? Do I have to write them off? If someone who is tweeting about QAnon or likes QAnon or is at a rally for QAnon or a rally for Trump and they post about QAnon, if any of those things happen and then that person does something or says something else that is in bad taste or in bad faith, you wouldn't then say, hey, this is indicative of all of QAnon and all of those people. You just wouldn't. Just like you wouldn't do that with any group, you would say. But at the same time, the news is calling this person a disciple, which is just weird because you would think that's reverent language. You would use that kind of language to describe someone in a church, perhaps. It says 1 in 3 Republicans, we just read through this, say that QAnon's mostly true. 4% of Democrats say that it's partly true. That's not bad. 72% of them said nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. So you have 72% of Democrats and another 13% of Republicans. You get a total of like 85% of half, right? So you got to divide it in half because you're just talking about each party, which is only half of the country. So you're getting percentages of halves. So you have to have the total then, as my math is coming back to me now after I froze up earlier. So it's something like 42% if I'm not being totally retarded. I think that's what it comes out to be. Total people that they polled of that 1,368 that said there's no way in hell that it's true. Which just means that to tell you, by the way, that it's that 56%, not just of Republicans, but that means of the total. Because you can look at the Democrats who do believe it and don't, and we're saying some Republicans don't even believe it, but many, many do. Okay, so the total then is a majority of people, not just Republicans. This should say majority of Americans, right? Or are we now going to say, well, we can't base that on this because it's only 1,368 people that we asked. We didn't really ask everyone. This says QAnon supporters claim President Trump is defending the planet from a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles consisting mostly of Hollywood celebrities, liberal politicians, and deep state government officials who are running a secret child sex trafficking ring. This makes it sound so simple and dumbed down and incomplex. What is it? Is it just simple? Is that just am I trying to make it more complex because they make it so stupid? They are saying, hey, Donald Trump's not doing these things. Look, we'll even just explain it in the most like stupid, dumbed down layman's terms. We'll say, look, it's a cabal of Satan worshipping pedophiles, well, pederasts and vampires, and they'll use language like that. They'll say he's going after celebrities and politicians and other like big collective catch-all buzzwords for different groups. The deep state, government officials. Ooh, call me an official, because appointee is more, dunce cappy. I don't want to be the guy that was an appointee. That sounds like I'm a lap sitter. I want to be an official. That sounds like I'm the lap. So now we're running a secret child sex trafficking ring. No, you're buying kids off the black market is what you're doing. And so if you are rich, famous, powerful, elite, and influential, and you're funding and being the people who go to the black market and buy this and others and other terrible things, then guess what? You're the person who creates the market for that. You're the person who's funding that. And then when it's becoming uncovered, you're the person who has to defend it. You're the person who's trying to protect it. Donald Trump is defending the planet. That's the people from it. So, you have the FBI. We've identified QAnon conspiracy theorists as extremists. Funny that the quote doesn't extend. It's not that the FBI named QAnon conspiracy theorists extremists. Ping, period, resultative. They're not saying if QAnon, then extremist. They are saying that there are some people who have been extremists, they have said, who are also, in this Forbes article's eyes, QAnon conspiracy theorists. Again, if the FBI says, hey, the guy that went and shot at the pizza parlor, that guy was an extremist. And then the Forbes article says, well, that guy would have been just like QAnon, so guess what? I'm going to make sure that's in the article. Make sure that we say they're a domestic threat. Make sure that we point out these things. So President Trump draws criticism last month when he declines to denounce, right? He says, I understand they like me very much. I appreciate that. They just love America. They don't like to see what's happening. Okay. Very interesting then that you see this article also then saying, the QAnon conspiracy theory is believed to have started on the anonymous messaging board platform 4chan in 2017. Since its inception, Q has developed or adopted aspects of many other conspiracies, including claims related to the 9/11 truther movement and the assassination of JFK. President Trump, has previously retweeted 4 congressional candidates who've all promoted QAnon. That's important to note. Helping them rack up hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter, because guess what? Hundreds of thousands of people follow Trump because of Q, and they didn't before. I think that's important to note, because you think they're all just Donald Trump supporters who now follow Q, and in some cases that may be. Others are the opposite. Others were anti-Trump until they found this, and now they're the most prolifically loud pro-Trump people. So you can check that out. It says, following Trump's failure to censure QAnon. Oh my god, why would he? Why would he? He just said, yeah, they like me. And they're not doing anything wrong. After being asked directly by reporters, Democratic Rep. Tom Malinowski and Republican Rep. Denver Riggleman, okay, from Virginia, I think, introduced a bipartisan resolution in the House last week condemning QAnon and rejecting the conspiracy theories it promotes. It says, quote, our aim is fully bipartisan in congressional repudiation of this dangerous anti-Semitic, and conspiracy-mongering cult that the FBI says is radicalizing Americans to violence, unquote, said Malinowski. Okay, so that's the key background you have to take in. Now here's the tangent. It's just going to tell you that NBC News has already put a couple shots over at QAnon. They've had millions of members. Oops, did we mention that part out loud? Hang on a second. Facebook determined that QAnon has millions of followers on its own social platform. So Facebook is saying, oh my gosh, we have millions of these Q people on our Facebook. How many people like QAnon and aren't on Facebook? Probably millions, right? Probably millions. So do you think that Facebook is now saying we have millions of it on us? And Twitter's like, we're covered in it. You have Instagram like, we're going real strong with it. We don't even know how many millions we have. So you got to think about, are they all the same accounts? Clearly. Some are, but some are not. Because not everyone's going to try to create a brand and then have to market it across like 5 platforms or something. You're going to have a lot of people that just go on 1 or 2. They'll be on Parler and Twitter, or Twitter and Facebook, or whatever too, and they'll primarily use one. And for most people, they say that that's Facebook. So Facebook has millions. In fact, they said it was 9 to 10 million people on Facebook who follow and watch QAnon. That's millions more, you think, than on Twitter? No. This says there are 10 large Facebook groups, all devoted to QAnon, who've been growing by 600% or more since the lockdown started. Geez, if you thought putting people in a pressure cooker and turning it on to 11 was going to help the leftist cause and make people want the lockdowns, you're an idiot. And obviously, a lot of people found QAnon as a result. This says in late August, Facebook announced its removal of nearly 800 groups, 100 pages, 1,500 ads connected to QAnon, which that could just mean like a conservative group that's running an ad where in the video somewhere someone has a flag or a shirt or a sign or something. Hell, I mean, if I was doing a video and I was trying to promote my channel and I had B-roll footage of me talking and this picture was on, someone could, out of context, say, hey, I just saw Q on his screen. He must be promoting QAnon instead of just covering it. This says, quote, QAnon and the conspiracy theories it promotes are a danger and a threat, and it has no place in our country's politics, unquote, said Riggleman from Virginia. I condemn this movement and urge all Americans to join me in taking this step to exclude them and other extreme conspiracy theories from the national discourse. It's simply not helpful. You would have to think, if you supported what he's saying, then anyone who is posting anything from QAnon is doing so because they know that it's wrong, they believe it's evil, and they're doing it to mess with you, the correct, righteous Tommy Beer, the smart guy at Forbes, who says, guys, we don't need to worry about losing an election to, China, essentially. We don't need to worry about making, everyone in the country a slave to an oligarchy that exists in Beijing. We don't need to worry about having a figurehead puppet president who can't stand up. We just need to worry about the people who are outing pedophiles around the country. And we really need to be aware of the fact that those people are now believed by roughly 56% of Americans. This is an odd way of representing the data because we just looked at this data. If you have a majority of Republicans who believe this is true, and you have a small minority, but a fraction nonetheless of Democrats who also believe it's true, and you can look at the total, and you can say, hey, maybe it's fair to say that there are less than half of people in the voting population who do not believe in Q at all. That leads another maybe over half, just over half perhaps, of people who are at least open to it being true. Well, what date is it? It's only the 3rd. Okay, phenomenal. Wait, is it the 3rd? Okay, yeah, it's the 3rd. So it's only September 3rd. We have 61 something odd days left. We have time to do something. These people who are 56 to 60% of the voting population who may or may not believe that this could be real, go show them more of this. Go show them the panic. And you know what? Props to Tommy Beer for getting away with promoting something that's positive about QAnon in a mainstream publication. Granted, it's Forbes, but good for you, Tommy Beer. I changed my mind. If this is some kind of subversion that he's smart enough to be like, yo, I got to get in, and then I got to start fake dissing QAnon, be like, yo, Q's so crazy. Did you guys know that more than half Republicans believe in this? Yo, QAnon is fucking nuts. Did you guys know that less than half of people actually don't believe in it? By the numbers? Hey, QAnon's crazy, but did you know that we asked nearly 1,500 people, and a majority of those people said that they'd be open to some of it at least being true? Hello, I got a new headline for you. All right, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, stay in touch, and let's do everything else that we can do when you share this video out to keep America afloat.